I have the privileged honor of introducing my mentor. And who is a mentor but somebody that pushes you out of your comfort zone, encourages you to do things you haven't done before. And I first met my mentor in a hotel in Orlando in 1996. And I'll let him tell you what happened that night. But that was a night that changed my life. It was also my honeymoon. 2 years later, I moved to Arizona. 2 years after that, I started working for Dr. Howard Farran, who's not only a DDS, but an MAGD and an MBA, and sometimes an NSFW. We've been working together for 18 years, and I've had the privilege of watching him chase his life's passion, making dentistry great again. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Howard Farran. The man.
Now let's give it up for Tom Jacoby, the editor of Dental Town, for 18 years. So basically, I got 1 hour, 100 slides, so let's try to light this candle. So basically, the end of the Dark Ages actually came from technology. 1440, Gutenberg's printing press. Before 1440, everything you learned, you took to the grave with you. Maybe you shared it with your children, but you certainly didn't share it to the next county, the next country. It was never archived. It was actually the printing press. 1690 was the newspaper. America invented the newspaper. 1731 magazines, I believe that was France. Then there was a telegraph, the telephone. I think this one is the most exciting. This shows you how you got to think outside the box. Silent films came out in 1891, and they had phonographs, they had records. It took monkeys 40 years before they added sound to the movies, which is so obvious. But it took 40 years, so I always think about that, like, what other obvious things out there? And if you think 40 years to add sound to film was bad, you know how long it took to add chocolate to peanut butter? I mean, that was even worse. Then the computer came out, the email, 72, Microsoft. Apple came out in 76, the year after Microsoft. But here's an interesting thing, the ARPANET, this is the backbone of Dental Town. What was the internet all about? Do you remember what it actually was? The whole nuclear war scenario is under a mountain in southern Colorado. You guys know where that is, that mountain is? So the whole nuclear war deal takes place under there. They got years with the waters, the building's on springs, it's bomb-proof. And they were afraid Washington, D.C., if the Russians set a nuclear bomb first and blew up the phone lines between D.C. and Colorado, somewhere over Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, they couldn't communicate. So they asked their scientists, what can we do? And they invented the internet. They said, we could break up this message, send it over every available wire there is. It might even go the other way. It might go from Washington to London, even through our enemies' hands of Moscow, come back the other side to Cheyenne Mountain. And that was the internet. And they did it, and they did it on this invention here, the CBBS. To figure all this out, they invented the computerized bulletin board system. That's what Dental Town is on. And the email started in 72. I first did internet, social media. Remember, it was Internet Dental Forum. It was Root ZX for Endo. It was Generation Next. It was Dentists at CompuServe. But you would open up your email and be 18 million endless emails, and you couldn't find the important one from your mom. So all social media did in the beginning is move it out of your email and into another website or an app like Friendster, and then MySpace, and Facebook, and Twitter, and LinkedIn, and Instagram, and Snap, and all these weird things, which is great. I do them all, but it's fun for pictures. It's fun for birthdays. I love cats personally a lot. But it's not for organizing your material. It's not for learning how to do a root canal. It's not searchable. It's not. So I still think the computerized bulletin board system is best for deep information. And then there is Cisco, AOL, and then all Dentaltown has ever done, all we've ever done, we've never had a single original idea. We came out with the Farran Report in 1994. That was Jerome Smith. It came out the Farran Report because I was lecturing around and I was hearing all these great ideas. So when I was having lunch and breakfast with you, I was talking you into writing an article and I was sending stuff at you one way. But then when we saw the internet, we renamed it to Dentaltown because it no longer was Farran, me to you. It was flat in the board. We all just equally shared. So we came out with Dentaltown computerized bulletin board system in '99. And then we added banner ads and e-promotions. And I thank you so much for the people. That's how we monetize the site. So whenever you opt into the email, to pay for that whole thing, all you have to do is opt into the email. And even if you don't want to read the banner ad, just click it. And then I was in Phoenix, Arizona, where there was University of Phoenix Online. This is how slow my walnut brain is. It launched in '94, and every time I went to the airport, I would have to drive past University of Phoenix Online. And then after another year, it was like 2 buildings. And then it was like 3 buildings. It was 10 buildings long before I finally said, maybe we should do that. I had to drive by 10 buildings. They named the football field University of Phoenix Online. So finally we started Dentaltown Online CE. Where's Howard Goldstein? Stand up, Hogo. This is the man responsible for this. Unbelievable. Pretty cool that you're first in class in the online university. I can't think of any place you could go. There's some specialized sites that just do implants. There's some specialized deals that just do one thing or another. But to have 450 different courses, all ADA. By the way, when Hogo goes through that ADA renewal process, he's like a grouch for like at least 90 days. You have to. It's ridiculous. But thank you, Hogo, for doing that. It's amazing. We have courses like the infamous Sandy Pardue, who's my mentor and idol, and now her young protege. By the way, this is Townie meeting 16. When I first met her, she was 20. Right now, she's 37 and looks like she's 12. When I first met her, she was 19. And looked like she was 9. I can remember her bringing you to these meetings. I thought, oh, she's so cute. And it's like, she's out of high school. I'm like, wow, really? We just got everything from A to Z. Then blogs came out. And now podcasts are just amazing. I started the genre. The only reason I started my podcast is because you kept telling us what to do. Ken Scott, the original programmer, stood up, Ken. He's the original programmer at Dentaltown. He was outsourced. We hired you through outsource at 98? It was 99, and then you joined our team. You quit the company we were outsourcing with. IIS, was it? Was it IIS? And joined our team. But I would say that Ken's team of 5 programmers, we're at least been a year behind the whole 20 years. You telling us what you want, we have a to-do list. That to-do list is always a year in advance. And you were sending all these emails saying, I have an hour commute to work, I'm listening to talk radio, if I hear one more thing about Hillary and Benghazi and Trump and ISIS, and by the time you get to work, you're suicidal, you don't want to live, you hate life. And now podcasts are more popular than radio just because radio is so toxic. It's absolutely, you listen to radio and you start fighting with your own sister. The next thing you know, you're yelling at your sister and you're like, who got me worked up in a frenzy? And it's talk radio. I hate talk radio. So I just started it because we're user-generated content and you users, we got 60 people. The views are crazy. Look at this guy. Is he here in the room today? How to open a dental office? He's outside. Look at that. 686,000 views. And people say, how is that possible? Well, Dentaltown has 250,000 dentists, and they have to drive an hour each way to work. And when I started doing a podcast, the people who like the show says, can you do two shows a day? Because I have an hour each way. And I'm like, no, I can't do 10 hours a week. Can you? And, but what's really cool is people just, because we see the metrics, people will open up the app, they'll get in their car and they're like, what am I in the mood for? And don't ever think in fear and scarcity. I mean, I've asked some people to come on my show and they go, well, I can't because I write for a different magazine or I have my own podcast. Like, dude, I've never met a dentist in the world that read one magazine or listened to one podcast. Why do you think in fear and scarcity? Think in hope, growth, and abundance. I've invited every editor of every dental magazine, every person of every other podcast. I don't think in fear and scarcity. I think in hope, growth, and abundance. It's the same thing with the dentist across the street from me. When I opened up my practice, I ran across the street. I mean, you leave school, and it was sad to leave dental school because you're like, I don't know if I'll ever find this many alcoholics to hang out with again. And so then I moved to Phoenix, and I run across the street, and half the dentists are like, didn't want to meet me, shut the door. I was like, we don't need another dentist around here. And it was all fear and scarcity. And then the other half were like, oh my God, come on in, let's charcoal, have a hamburger, let's hang, let's all that stuff. Same thing with specialists. I'd ask some endodontists I could watch. They'd say, well, actually, that's how I make my living. I mean, if you can't do the root canal, you should do what's best for the patient and send it to me. And I'm like, okay, you're a dick, next. And then the ones that would say, oh yeah, anytime you got an opening, just pull up a chair. Same thing with orthodontists and Invisalign. You know, I've lectured in 50 countries. In every city, there was always just one orthodontist who thought in abundance, said, you know what, they're all gonna do Invisalign, but I don't wanna do them terrible cases, and I don't want them to do open faces, open jaws, screw everything up. So they would sit there and say, hey, if you're doing an Invisalign case, the last Thursday of every month, bring your case to my office. I'm having an Invisalign study club. Just bring your cases down. Who has the largest orthodontic office in every one of those cities? The average general dentist that gets all into ortho, half of them quit within 2 years. And then they usually call the guy up and say, well, you finished my 6 Invisalign cases. Who do they send all their referrals to? I mean, it's just amazing how when you think in abundance, like a periodontist, if you sit there and a young kid said, well, I want to watch you do periodontal surgery. Well, he's not going to do it all on 4. He's not going to start off with sinus lifts. I mean, he's going to start in a relationship, and you want 50% of something. You don't want 100% of nothing. So every time you think in fear and scarcity, it's always going to come back to bite you in the butt. It's always a bad idea. So now we have 50 different podcasts. They're just amazing. I just passed my 1,000th podcast, and I got to give credit to Ryan for that. Thank you, Ryan. He's my third son. He's tall, he's handsome. I really don't think he's my son. I refuse to do DNA testing on my 4 children because they're too tall, they're too handsome, and I'm pretty damn sure none of them are mine. But the bottom line is Ryan writes his own music, he makes music, he puts it on SoundCloud, and when he graduated from college, he said, Dad, your podcast is lame. You need some help. And I said, come on down. And he makes me look fancy. We've done just amazing Stanley Malamed, Dawson and Occlusion. And I want you younger kids to realize you come out of school and you're taught that these guys are gods. But if you flip back every 100 years, everything's always wrong. Remember, what were the first 4 elements? Earth, wind, fire, and water. What are we up to now? 93? I mean, these guys are legends, but history will prove you one thing. Every generation will prove that their parents were as dumb as they thought they were, okay? Like on occlusion, I said to him, you know, when you look at other epidemiological international studies, it pretty much shows that humans have like 5 spasms when they're stressed. They have brain spasms, which is a migraine headache. And I know you think it's from gluten and dark chocolate, and I get it. You have TMJ grinding. You have the whole chiropractor lower back pain. You have irritable bowel syndrome, and I'm smelling something over here a little. Somebody's stressed. I'm smelling stress. And then you have the cardiac deal. And the bottom line is, of all the stresses, I'd rather have the TMJ. I don't want to be farting all the time. I don't want a heart attack. I don't want a migraine. I don't want my back to go out. Grinding your teeth's pretty good, but when you say to him, you do think there's like any chance it might be psychological? No. Really? None? I mean, she's grinding her teeth and her husband's having an affair. Her daughter's a hooker. Her son's addicted to opioids. She's unemployed. Her credit card's maxed. Does that have anything to do with it? No. No, so all you have to do is adjust the mesial buccal cusp of number 3 and get that to seat on number 30 and all their problems will go away. I mean, they're crazy. But when you're young, it's hard for you to come out and say, excuse me, but I call bullshit. I think you're batshit crazy. But remember this, historically, your parents are always wrong of at least 50% of everything they told you, and our dental legends are no different. Treating the worn dentition, sinus lifts are amazing. And what I love about the internet, I think he's the smartest guy on sinus lifts. Where is he from, Hogo? Romania? You say Europe, yeah. That's. I think, or what was your next guess? Eastern Hemisphere. I think I've heard. Anybody know where he's from? Poland. He's Poland, okay, and just amazing. This guy is from Taiwan. It is so amazing how the Americans do all these orthodontic surgeries. The Taiwanese never do. They get the same results. You're breaking all these jaws and moving them forward, and they're tilting them with bone screws. And that's what I love about the internet, because everybody thinks America's the greatest country in the world. I've lectured at dentists in 50 countries, and America is number 1 in military, medicine, banking, insurance, finance, movies, and music. But your cars suck. That cars are made in Germany and Japan. If your car wasn't made in Germany and Japan, I'm sorry. I hope it came with a mechanic. You're number 38 in education. Your life expectancy, which when I was little I thought goes up every year, it's gone down 3 years in a row. It's going down. And on that note, does anybody have any Vicodin they can share with the crowd? Or fentanyl? Other things that really matter, demographics matter. Now I know out of 162 offices, someone will do good in there, but we still have a situation where 2/3 of the dentists go to the 147 big metros, and the other 1/3 of the dentists go to where the other half live in 19,008 towns. I mean, people, we have 10% of the counties in Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, 10% don't have a dentist. And I have podcasted several. And you know who's the only ones that go out there? Mormons. You know why? They have 2-3 kids in dental school. They come out $500,000 debt. They don't need a nightlife. Their nightlife is their family. Their party is all in the house. They don't need a fancy restaurant. Their wife knows how to cook. If you want to hide something from your wife, you put it in the microwave or the oven. And but the bottom line is, they'll go to a county, they'll go to a city of 2,500 people, but there's 6,000 in the county. They don't take one PPO, no insurance, no nothing. They'll charge $1,200 for a crown, $1,200 for a molar root canal, $300 for a filler. They'll do $1 million for the first year and take home $400,000. I have helped them where they go to a town, and they'll go to a town, they'll say, well, I'm thinking about going, I'm not sure which town, it's either this one or that one. The mayor will take him to First Street in Maine, show him 6 vacant buildings. You want one of these buildings? Yeah, I'll take that building over there. It's yours, here's the paperwork. They'll go to the only bank in town. Are you gonna live here? Yeah, signature loan. I mean, and in those small towns, a great job is $10 an hour. So they're running like 18% labor, 50% overhead, 0 competition. And then you say, well, I don't want to go to Blythe. And I'm like, dude, your mom came from Pakistan. Your mom moved 15,000 miles for your ass. And you can't go an hour out of town. In fact, usually when you commute, you wake up in the morning and you wake up in a house that's in an area of about 1 dentist for 2,000. Then you commute an hour into town. By the time you get out of your car, you're at 1 dentist for 500. But if you would have woken up and commuted an hour the other way out of town, you'd have found some town that has 1,100 people, no dentists, but the draw is like 3,000 or 4,000, no PPOs, no Medicaid. And this is why I'm against the Pew the dental therapist, because what I hate about liberals is, well, really what I hate about liberals is they want to have a half-trained doctor to treat the poor. First thing I say is, well, when you get sick, do you want a half-trained doctor? When your daughter gets sick, are you going to find a half-trained doctor? Oh no, you're going to find Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic. But for the little people, they could just have a half-trained doctor. And the bottom line is, when you're a doctor, when you come out of school, you just graduated from dental kindergarten. It'll take you 5 years just to find your ass with both hands. Okay? And here's what we know about the underserved is privilege. Here's what we know. The problem is the deans of the dental school. If I fill up the class with a bunch of girls from Beverly Hills, how many of them, when they graduate, want to go east of Bakersfield? But see, who goes rural when they bring in rural? So in my first book, The Business of Dentistry, I was telling these dentists, I said, you're in Kansas. You're 3 hours from Wichita. You're 3.5 hours from Kansas City. There's no hygienists out there. So go to your local high school, have an essay competition of why I want to be a hygienist, and then whoever wins, I mean, how much is hygiene school? $2,000 a semester? Just pay for it. This one guy called me up and he said, well, I had two. What should I do? I said, send them both. But what happened in every one of those cases? They never got accepted into hygiene school because they didn't have a 3.85 grade point average. So your dental school dean thinks that Clay Center, Kansas would be better to have no hygienist than a hygienist with poor geometry skills. And it's the same thing in small towns. When I'm driving around Arizona, we've gone to mines. We've visited mines. And I say to the guy, well, what is your biggest problem out here? And he goes, we need mechanical engineers. But they fill up ASU with a bunch of kids from Tempe and Scottsdale and Phoenix who got straight A's in calculus, and not one of them will go. And then when the little kids from here apply to ASU, they don't get accepted because their grade point average is high enough. What we need to do, the first dean that figured this out, he's my idol. I know almost everyone disagrees with the guy. It was Jack Dillenberg. He said the Indian reservations don't need some government Indian public health service. You know what they need? They need dentists who are Indians. And every single Native American Indian that applied to Jack Dillenberg's school, he accepted. And when they all graduated, guess where they went back? Do you think a Navajo Indian wants to practice in Scottsdale? No, he's Navajo. He wants to go home. So if Pew wants people in the rural, and see, and I hate the California dental schools. You look at everything the California dental schools publish. They'll say USC, which of course, had the highest freshman GPA class of any of the 6 schools in California, coming in at a 3.67. UAP was only a 3.6. And what does UCLA do? They're down there at the bottom at 3.5, those whores. And it's that type of thinking that screws half of America. All they want to do is make the list on U.S. News and World Report of the best damn school, and they shouldn't be doing the best damn school. Those schools, half the tax dollars in America come from the rural, and they get no attention, they get no talent, they get no students in there. Demographics matter. You will sit there and tell me you're going to buy a practice, then I will ask you what the demographics are, and you're about to buy. The average dental practice is $750,000, and you don't even have a demographic report on it. There's a couple of companies, RealScore does it. I podcast about them. There's David James of RealScore. The other guy is out of Utah, Dr. Demographics. I mean, demographics matter. And if you say to me, well, Howard, they don't matter. I mean, if you're all that in a bag of chips, it doesn't matter. And I say, great, go set up in Somalia for a year. And then after a year, come talk to me. Then go to Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Just have a multiple chain dental office all throughout the third world. And one day you'll say, you know what, maybe demographics do matter, okay? Demographics matter big time. You don't have to do any of the research. Pew does all the research. Every single state, they show you, like in Arizona, every single state, every single city that doesn't have a dentist, every county. And the other thing that I think this is going to be a game changer is you might say, I don't want to drive 2 hours. I want to hang out in Kansas City, but do you realize we're this far away from driverless cars? I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where Google's starting the driverless car program. I see them every day. And it's really going to change the world because you know who loves it the most? Grandma and Grandpa got their license taken away. And they can't drive, and she hates that. Now she's 85 years old. She's in her driverless car going to the Catholic Church to play bingo, and alcoholics love it. It's really going to put downward pressures on DUIs because if you're shit-faced, you just sit in the back seat and go to where you need to go. I heard that from a friend. A friend told me all about that. So you know what's going to be? What it's going to be in the future is you might wake up at 6 o'clock. And your driverless car will just be a box with maybe a bed in it. And you'll just get up at 6, go back to bed in your little box, and 2 hours later it'll go ding, 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 you're here. And then you might work 3 10-hour days in Blythe, Arizona, where they don't have a dentist. And then when you're done on day 3, it might be 6 p.m. and you might live in Scottsdale, and you just go get in your little box and go to sleep or watch a movie, pass out, wake up 2-3 hours later and you're home in Scottsdale. I think driverless cars is going to push these urban densities further out into the rural because the drive time is not going to matter. When I'm trying to look at business models, my oldest sister is a cloistered Carmelite Catholic nun, and she can read like 7 different languages. And she used to always tell me that if you read Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, all the major religions, there's not one name, city, person, place. There's nothing in common with every major religion except the quell. Treat other people like you want to be treated, the golden rule. And so I always look at the deal, and for me, clarity is, if I died tomorrow, is this the dental office I want my 4 boys to go to? And now I'm sitting here saying, if I died tomorrow, is this where I want Taylor to go through? Or my little granddaughter in the back row, Raya, who she looks like she wants down, Grandma. Just let her down, Grandma. Come here, Raya. Raya, where are you going? Raya wants out of the dental. So we know she doesn't want to be a dentist. And she loves Grandpa, so we know she has poor taste in men. So basically, so many of these business, these are why people don't like DSOs. They don't want to hear things like every 6 millimeter pocket needs a perio chip. That 30% of your new patients should need 4 quads root plane curettage. How would you like it if you went to a family physician and he said 30% of all new patients should have chlamydia? And you're like, I don't know, I thought you had to have chlamydia to be diagnosed. I mean, how do you have business people that never saw the patient telling you what percent has to have perio and what percent has to have perio, and they're demoralized. And these DSOs don't realize, look at their staff turnover. I mean, they're not even holding their associates for a year or 2 on average. So I always look at that dental office and think, what type of office, what type of environment do I want little Taylor to go to, or my grandson? Another thing I want you to think about is most people never achieve their dreams because of your self-limiting beliefs. I mean, you get mad at your friends who are hard on you or said something rude to you. You say the meanest things to yourself. You are the meanest person that you ever met. And let me give you some examples. Like the average new car, according to Kelley Blue Book, is $33,000. The average American from birth to death will buy 13 new cars. And then I ask you, how many of you have never done a single $33,000 treatment plan? In every city, in every zip code, there is a dentist doing $2 to $3 million a year because once a week, 50 times a year, he convinced you to just get a new car, take out all your shit, replace it, implants, crowns, bridges, sinus lifts, just as a new car. And they find that only 10% of Americans buy their new cars with cash, and they're usually women over 65. They're widows. That's who usually buys houses and cars in cash. It's always widow woman. The old man died, and she's like, I'm getting a convertible, I'm getting a new house, I'm getting a Cabana Boy boyfriend on the side. I want to get my teeth all done, all that stuff. But the bottom line is, how come? And I was in, where was I? Derby, Kansas, having lunch and then in Coffeyville, Kansas, just 2 weeks ago. I was home visiting Mom, and was sitting there and talking to this dentist. He was telling me, "Well, Howard, you don't understand. We're out in the middle of Derby, Kansas. There ain't no freaking money out here. I mean, this is but poor area. I mean, there's just no money here." And we're sitting at this little restaurant, and I can see the QT across the street. And I said, how many cars are at the gas station right now? And he goes, a car or a truck? I said, it's the same damn thing, on 4 wheels. He said 9. I said, how many of them are F-150 pickup trucks? And he said 6. And how much are they?
50 grand.
50 grand, but what does it cost fully loaded?
85.
85. Now, so here we are out in the middle of bumblebutt nowhere, and I'm looking at 6 F-150 pickup trucks that are $50,000 to $85,000. And it was crazy. I saw this older farm lady. I mean, to get in the damn thing, she had to grab some bar and hike up her foot, then grab it with the other hand. I didn't think she was going to get her fat ass in the truck. I thought some cowboy was going to have to come and say, okay, on 3, on 3. And it's like, and I said to him, I said, in your lifetime, you're as old as me. How many $30,000 treatment plans have you ever done? He said, none, never. See, it's my favorite Michael Jackson song, always Man in the Mirror. It's you, baby. But you want to blame it on Obama and Benghazi and some emails and Putin and ISIS, like terrorism. You're always worried about terrorism. 50 Americans die each year from their own TV falling on them. You're afraid of airplanes. Nobody died last year in a commercial airplane. 40,000 died driving their own damn car. You're always believing shit that ain't real. You're always afraid of monsters and ghosts that don't exist. But the bottom line is, this is you, baby. And you know who sold her that car? A car salesman. You're getting your ass handed to you by a used car salesman. You can't beat a used car salesman, really? Really? You're not even trying. And then I do this guy's from Georgia. He's a $10,000 a day dentist. And the first thing people always say is they say, well, I don't even believe you. I used to have a course and a deal how to get into a dental office, no money down. But I quit talking about it because when you say that, how to get in a dental office with no money down, what do all my homies think? Oh, bullshit, that's bullshit. He's a liar. What is he talking about? I used to want to listen to that guy. Now he's full of shit. What did I do? I graduated from dental school. I sit there, I went to this 24-acre Safeway, Walgreens, Chase Bank, Pizza Hut center. I went up to the landlord. I said, how much is that bay? It's 2,000 square feet. He said, it's $15 a square foot a year on a 3-year lease. I said, fine. I want $20 square foot a lease for 5 years. He goes, okay, so obviously you want me to do the build out. And I said, yeah. So I gave him the build out plans. I got it shopped out by 3 people. They were all $30,000. He starts laughing. He goes, oh my God, they were going to screw you. I can do this for 10. Those guys said they would take 4 months to build it out. How long did it take the guy who built the whole 24-acre Safeway center to build it out? 30 days? Nothing. Build it out. Then I went down to Patterson, picked out all the finest shit. They said, okay, it'd be $80,000 cash. I said, well, actually, I don't have a frickin' dime. So I want you to put it in there on a 60-month lease to own. They go, we can't do that. And I said, well, sucks to be you. Just lost $80,000 sales. Left the office. Branch manager called me back the next morning, said, about that $80,000 purchase on that 5-year lease to own. So I got the whole damn build out, got all my damn equipment, had the whole office built out. I walked in there. I walked into a dental office with no money down. I mean, it was just, and then what was my marketing? I went over to the Safeway guy. I said, who's the manager here? And he said, me. And I said, hey, are you married? And luckily, he was not married. He had no kids. I was like, yes. I said, I'll do all your dentistry for free if on your 12 checkout lanes, I can put a stack of my flyers for today's dental. And whenever you're sacking up groceries, just put 1 flyer in each sack. He goes, hell yeah, let's do it. Then I went over to the beauty salon. I said, I'll do your before and after. If you put the before and after above your deal, because she has her own tribe going. I did bleaching on her, but what she wanted to do is veneers. I did my first veneer case on her. They look like straight out of Chiclet Toilet Bowl USA. And she was such born in the barn. She was from Iowa. She was so born in the barn, she thought they were perfect. And I mean, it was just amazing. Then what did I do? I know tribes. I went to each one of there were 19 churches, told every one of them. Some dentist does all my sister's dentistry for free at the Cloister Cotton Mary in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. Another dentist gave me his name, is doing all of the dentistry for free at the Mac at Heart of Mary. My other sister none in Wichita, Kansas. So I said to each one of those churches, so to pay back, I will do you for free. That's why we like Catholic priests the most, because just the priest, no one else. Freaking Lutheran had like 5 kids, and a wife and all this bullshit. And so what did I do? So of the 19 churches in Ahwatukee, I think 12 took it up on me. So what would they put in their bulletin? No, the church would like to thank Dr. Howard Farran for fixing up Pastor Don's teeth and blah, blah, blah. I had all these old ladies coming, you're the pastor's dentist? Yeah. I mean, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was, I had $1 million practice the first year because I hustled. I was out running for mayor. I was pressing the flesh. This is all possible. So when we look at why dental care is coming down, what do we see? Dental utilization is coming down. Now, everybody always points first to cost because cost is the big deal. But cost isn't a big deal because Americans always find the money for what they need. Think of what they will do when they need a dime bag of weed. Think what they'll do when they need 50 fentanyl. They'll find the money. They might steal your car. They might flip a trick behind the dumpster at KFC, but they'll get the damn money if they want it. They want it, they're gonna get the money. The problem is you don't convince them they need it. They have dental benefits, but dental benefits are real. A lot of people take a lot of them, but you take it too serious because, again, when you bought your iPhone, did you use dental insurance? When you bought your car, did you use dental insurance? What about your house? Last time you bought a dime bag of weed, did you use insurance? So you're in this belief that insurance matters, and then I've lectured in 50 countries and 6 continents. The only continent I haven't lectured in is Antarctica. I would love to lecture in Antarctica because penguins look just like my sister. Every time I see an Islamic girl in the veil, I just see a nun. I don't even see a Muslim. I just see another Sister Mary Aloysia at Blessed Sacrament. But the bottom line is, the dental benefits is your own self-limiting beliefs. You're the one that walks in there and says, well, your insurance will only cover $1,000, and the worst tooth in your mouth is the molar. So if we did a root canal, we could do a root canal to build up this year, and then you'd be exhausted for the year. And then on January 1st, we could start the crown. You're the one bringing it up. It's your self-limiting belief. You didn't present the $7,000 treatment plan. Just say, yeah, your insurance will pay, max is $1,000, but you're $6,000. And your health history. It's not even asking credit questions. You ask questions that are so bizarre. I'll never forget, I opened my practice, and this man wanted to see me alone in my office. And so Jan took him back there, and she's back there with me, and he wanted her to leave. So I thought, God, what did I do? I just met this guy. How am I in trouble? I was like running through my mind, what did I do? And then he starts telling me that during World War II, he had a 3-day pass to the Philippines, and that was when he caught gonorrhea, and he's so sorry, but he's never told it. And I'm like, why are you telling me this? Because my health history that I Xeroxed from University of Missouri, Kansas City asked if you've ever had gonorrhea and syphilis, and I was like, I don't even care. Do you have gonorrhea, syphilis? These are questions you ask in a bar, okay? Not in a dental office. So what I do, I pulled out all those questions and I wanted to get in their brain. I wanted to sit there and say, why did you leave your last dentist? What did you like the most about your last dentist? Oh, he had nitrous oxide. He could knock me out. He took my insurance, whatever it is. And then you ask credit questions. How long have you had your current job? How long have you lived in your current life? Ask all the shit questions. And then when you get done with your $6,000 treatment plan, you don't walk in there and say, well, your insurance only has $1,000, so we can only do half of one tooth this year. And then January 1st, we can do the other half of one. If we did everything that you and the doctor wanted to do, you have excellent credit. I already approved you through Care Credit. It's only $331 a month for 60 months, and you can walk out here with a perfect smile. Does that sound like something you want to do? And there's only one number she's thinking, $331 a month? Hell yeah, let's do it. See, you were going for it. I don't care if you had chlamydia. We're not having sex. We're going to do a crown, okay? We're going to do a filling. I remember when the AIDS deal came out in 1989, every old lady would always ask me, Dr. Fred, do you sterilize your drills? And I'd say, well, yes, but why do you ask? Well, I'm concerned about AIDS. And I'd open my drawer and I'd say, well, AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease. And I'd pull out a condom and I'd hand her and said, if you put the condom on me, I'll wear it. I mean, you know, if you want maximum protection when I'm doing a filling, I'll wear the condom, but I ain't putting it on. You put it on, I'll wear it, okay? And then I say to her, if your husband came home with gonorrhea and he said, well, my hygienist had an infected prophy machine, would you buy that? Because if you believe that shit, I want to marry you right now. I mean, so the bottom line is just talk straight with these people. When we go through dentistry, the dental CPAs, is Tim Lawton here? Is Tim Lawton, he's at his booth? I'm telling you, here's the problem with dentistry. Here's the biggest problem with dentistry. Anybody got a lid for this thing? So you sell, you know, in business, if you go to 7-Eleven, they say, we buy this for 90 cents and we sell it for $1. So we make a dime on each one. Now, what dental insurance, so what we see in dentistry is, I say, well, how much did it cost you? They just scheduled you to do 2 MOD composites in room 4. What did that cost you? You have no idea. And then you take a half dozen different PPOs. So you're doing, when I ask you, well, how much you get for an MOD composite? You always say, oh, I get like $250. Dude, Delta tells you your fees. That's a PPO. 95% of dentists take Delta. 95% of dentists are getting their fees. And you always state me your cash price, which you're not even getting 5% of the time. And then that 250, that you're getting like 185 all the way down to 115. So you don't know what this costs, and you're selling it for 6 different prices. And then what's sad is I know my homies, you work hard, they'll say, well, can I squeeze an emergency in during lunch? And you'll say, yeah, and you'll do 2 MOD composites in a room that costs you $300, and you'll get reimbursed $280. So you just work through lunch to lose $30. And you don't even know it. When you sell shit that you don't know what it costs for 6 different prices, you're inviting a disaster. And now we have specialized CPAs that only do dentistry, and they're so damn good, and anybody who signs up, and I can't tell you which one to go to because I don't know who's in your town. Maybe this organization might be better, but you don't like the guy in your town. Kane Waters is in Dallas. I mean, come on, Dallas is a 2-hour flight from any city in America on Southwest Airlines. You gotta know your numbers, and you gotta go in there with your spouse. 1/3 of marriages are over divorce over money, 1/3 divorce over sex. If you're paying money for sex, it's even worse if you combine those two. And then 1/3 is substance abuse. But a lot of the substance abuse, a lot of the reason you're drinking, this is your 6th beer and it's an hour-long course. It's only your 4th. And so one of the reasons you're drinking Listerine is because you're stressed out of your mind. So you got to do this as a couple. I mean, I don't recommend marriage, but if you do get married, all I'm saying is that if you're not discussing the money, it's not money. It's you don't talk about it. It's not sex. You're not communicating. Just take off your socks and take a shower. That will come a long way. And the substance abuse. When you got married, he came on a couple nights a week. He had a couple beers. And then it went to 3 beers. Then it was every night after work, it's 2 beers, 3 beers. Now it's every night after beer, a 6-pack. But see, you never talked about it. You never told them that's really starting to irritate you. Money is a serious deal, but get a full-time dental CPA. I mean, if you had testicular cancer, would you want to go to a doctor who did ophthalmology? Would you want to go to your dentist? Would you want to go to would you want to go to a guy that only does tea bags? Wouldn't you want someone who says, I only do testicles? That's my guy. That's your CPA. He only does dentistry because it's an art and a science, because he really can't get all the data he needs. Here's 4 dentists that all take home $25,000 a month. At 40% overhead, you only got to do $41,000. That's an easy day. 50% overhead, you got to do $50,000. 65% is the average dentist in America. When I got out of school 30 years ago, the average was 50. Now the average is 65. You got to do $71,000 in dentistry to do that. And 20% of dentists have 80% overhead. 20% of dentists have to do $125,000 of dentistry to take home 25. Which dentist do you want to be? Do you really want to do $125,000 of posterior composites to make 25 grand? Shit, at what point would you just sell your office and buy a Taco Bell? Where are the hygienists in the room? Raise your hand if you're a hygienist. Raise your hand. So we only have 3. We have 4. No, keep your hand up. Come on, gay people came out of the closet. Admit you're a hygienist. Hygienists, we got some serious problems. You know who's killing you? The insurance companies are killing you. So let me tell you something about this. So all of your DSOs in America, see, the greatest thing about being 55 years old is not erectile dysfunction. What it is actually the fact that I've seen everything 2 or 3 times. I'm never seeing any rodeo for the first time. So when I got out of school 30 years ago, the first roll-ups were out. What is a roll-up? Orthodontic Centers of America. What is that? They go get a $100 million line of credit, and then they go buy an orthodontic practice for $1 million. And then they'll come out and they'll say, look, we went from 0 to $1 million. Then they'll buy 10 more. Oh, look, we went from $1 million to 10 million. Yeah, but your debt sheet went from 0 to 10 million. And then they go buy 100 more orthodontic offices and go public on the New York Stock Exchange, the only DSO ever. And they said, look, we have $1 billion in sales. We've gone from 0 to $1 billion in 5 years. All the smart people are like, yeah, so did your debt sheet. You're just buying sales. And then what was the problem back then? When they bought your office, they said, hey, selling orthodontics, you had to stay there 3 years. Well, what happened at 3 years and 1 minute? Did they stay on? Oh, they all ran down the street as fast as they could. Then you replaced a 55-year-old doctor doing $3 million with some punk-ass kid that just walked out of dental school who comes in and does $1 million, and the whole thing crashed and imploded. There was a dozen on NASDAQ. They all imploded. They're gone for 10 years. Now the roll-ups are back. But this time, you're afraid of them, but Wall Street won't touch them with a 10-foot pole. See, if you imagine going on Shark Tank, and the smartest shark there obviously is Mr. Wonderful, because he's the only bald guy on the show. And you went to Mr. Wonderful, I want $1 million. What are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go buy a dental office that does $1 million in sales. Awesome. Then what? How do I get my money back? Oh, I'm gonna come back next week and ask for another $1 million, and then I'm gonna go buy another $1 million dental office. Wow, that's weird. Then how do I get my money back? Oh, then next week I'm gonna come and ask for another $1 million and buy another. No, hold the shit on. I want to give you $1 million. You buy $1 million dental office, you pay down my $1 million back over the next 1 or 2 years while your business grows to $2 million. That doesn't happen on any DSOs. Not one of them will go public. Every single one of them will do what the last round did and implode. I've been telling you this for 5 years, you don't believe me. There's only 3 banks that give them money. And the biggest one giving them money was East West Bank. They stopped giving DSOs money as a line item 2 years ago. It didn't even make the news. I posted on Dental Town, it didn't even get a comment. They're cut off. They don't make money. But there are 3 and only 3 publicly traded dental offices on earth. There's 1300 Smiles out of Australia, Pacific Smiles Group, Q&M. I've podcasted all of them. Daryl Holmes, founder of 1300 Smiles. He has 100 offices. He's publicly traded. Every year his debt goes down. Every year his profits go up. Then we got another one, Pacific Smiles Group. I think they're at 75 offices. Every year their debt sheet goes down and their sales and profits go up. And then of course the Singaporean Raymond. But what if they all 3 eerily have the exact same business model? And what is it? No hygiene. The doctors do the hygiene. This is what they say. So you got to think about this. So they say, here's what happens in America. You're paying a hygienist $40 to do a $55 cleaning. So the hygienist is setting up the room. You don't have to be a hygienist for that. Then she goes and gets the patient and seats them. You don't have to hygiene for that. Then she takes the x-rays. That could have all been a dental assistant. And then she sits down to probe, so she calls in another dental assistant who's getting $20 an hour. So now you got a $40 an hour hygienist, $20 assistant, and she's doing the probing. And then she starts scaling. And then when she's done, the dental assistant can finish it. She can do the polish, the fluoride, the floss, set them up, write up the deal, check out the patient, clean up the room, the whole 9 yards. So what they do is they do this. The assistant sets up the room, seats the patient. The doctor comes in, does the periodontal charting, the assistant probes. And then when he's doing the scaling, he scales each teeth with an intraoral camera, doing the exam, going over the whole deal, scaling the whole teeth. So they're doing the exam, the scaling, the same time. And then when they're done, the assistant comes in and finishes it. None of them, he said, we can't be profitable paying a hygienist $40 to do a $55 cleaning. Furthermore, when the hygienist doing the cleaning, you got a $40 an hour hygienist getting help with a $20 an hour assistant, and then she's waiting 5 minutes for the doctor to come in and do the exam. And then when I go into your offices, every time I go to any country, any village, whenever I ever walk by a dental office, I see like a Gucci store and run in and want to meet my homie. And almost every time we're out shopping, malls, whatever, and I bust into the dental office, and I just walk right past the receptionist. They don't know what to do. And I go, where's the dentist every time I go in there? Where's the dentist? Sitting on his ass in the office, which is really good for Dental Town, but not good for your betting line. And I'm asking you, did you even tell your receptionist, look, I'll do cleanings. I don't want to sit back there with a cancellation no-show when someone's saying, well, when can I get my teeth cleaned? Well, we don't have an opening for 3 more days. You won't even tell your own staff that you'd rather do a cleaning than sit on your ass. So the bottom line is, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to make friends. Dude, you're lazy. You're lazy. You haven't done a cleaning. Most of you in this office, if I put a gun to your head and say, just turn on the x-ray machine, I'd have to shoot you. I mean, most dentists, if you put a gun to their head and say, load the autoclave now, or I'm gonna cut your balls off, they're like, wow, I'm gonna be a eunuch. I don't even know how this thing works. I mean, you have to start doing cleanings instead of doing nothing. And when you look at your hygienist, here's the only way hygiene works. The only way hygiene works is if she can present dentistry, if she can take the intraoral camera, if she can explain disease. But if she's sitting there like Obi-Wan Kenobi, just chucking tartar and polishing teeth and flossing, and then you get in the room and she says, doctor, I think there's a little something on the upper right. And you look in the upper right and it's like number 3 looks like it ate a grenade. No shit, is that what they taught you in hygiene school? A little something? Is there a code for that? And she should have taken the PA and the bite wing and done the diagnosis of dreamland. I get so sick of you not having your assistants diagnose the dreamland. When they come in an emergency, when they take an FMX, every picture that comes in, they should diagnose dreamland. You know why? Because that's an assistant. I'm going to tell you another thing that no one wants to talk about, okay? And I know that I'm supposed to stop right now, but we started 4 minutes. Like, so can I have 5 more minutes? Nobody in America trusts men. When your engine light comes on and you take it to the dealer and they come out and says, you know what, you need a whole new alternator. What % of women in America are thinking, do I need a whole new alternator, or is he trying to sell me something? You look at the sign, $19.99 oil change. You take it in there with your $20 bill that you got from hanging on that pole upside down for just one song. And he comes down and he says, but you know what? You need your transmission fluid flushed and you need a new air filter. What % of American women think, really? Or are you trying to just sell me shit? You call the air conditioner man because your air conditioner don't work. And you're thinking, hopefully it's just a shot of Freon, some duct tape. And he says, man, you need a whole new $8,500 air conditioner. What % of American women think, I don't even know if that's true. I bet if my Uncle Eddie was here, he could fix it with a shot of Freon. See, I don't wear a tie Because I know when women see a man with a tie, they assume the tie is to keep the foreskin from coming up over your head. You're lying, lying, lying. So now the dental assistant is taking x-rays and, oh yeah, that's a cavity. Which one hurts? Is it up here? Yeah, see that black little cavity? See how that's in the nerve? Yeah, that's gonna need, you only got two choices. That's gonna be a root canal or you're gonna have to pull the tooth. See, they trust the assistant. They know she's one of them. And then you're getting your teeth cleaned and the hygienist is putting up that dude. Oh, now you say, well, it's illegal for a hygienist to diagnose a treatment plan. Yeah, well, how many bitches are in prison today from diagnosing and treatment planning? Every single hour, someone drives by your dental office with 3 pounds of marijuana in the trunk, and you won't let your dental assistant diagnose an x-ray. Walk on the wild side, idiot. Because they don't trust you. You pulled up in a Porsche. You pulled up in a Range Rover. You're the one who comes in there and says, yeah, you need $5,000 with the dentistry. And they think, yeah, I saw you. Were you changing oil on 48th and Elliott? Are you the one who told me I need an air filter and a new air conditioner and a new alternator, which later I found out was all horseshit, bullshit, and more shit? See, they trust. You're trying to sell trust. The other big thing that you overlook all the time on these chains, they have massive staff turnover. When they call up your office and say, yeah, I want Megan to clean my teeth. Megan, ha! She walked out on the job months ago. We got some new girl now. Every time they go in, those DSO, that's what they come and tell me. Every time I go in there, it's a different doctor. Every time I go in there, it's a different assistant. I talked to the doctors that quit. Why did you quit? Shit, I had 3 different dental assistants in a month. You know, it's hard enough to do a root canal, let alone with a brand new dental assistant who doesn't even know anything about me. You can't build trust with turnover. You want to take HR more serious than anything you do in dentistry. You want to hire people. I mean, half my team's been with me 20 years, and they only stay with me for one reason. They know that when they die, they'll have no purgatory. They'll just go straight to heaven. They'll say, shit, you already lived in hell for 20 years. The bottom line is, what is integrity and trust? I can't see a new face every time I go to the doctor. I can't see a new doctor every time I walk in there. I can't have some control freak monkey doctor not letting anybody talk because he's controlling. See, what are the great sins of human history? No transparency. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing. Controlling you. I don't want you to have any rights, speak up, whatever. I mean, in China, everybody who's got a Nobel Prize, a Nobel Peace Prize is in prison. I mean, nobody trusts a regime like that. They're trying to be the new reserve currency. No one trusts China. No one wants their currency because they don't trust them. They don't have any institutions of any integrity, any transparency, any checks and balances. So what did this new president did of China? He just installed himself for life. He's the same as Putin. People don't trust that shit. And then you're a doctor and you won't let your assistant and hygienist talk freely. I've been in dental offices where the dental assistant can't even disagree with the treatment plan. She's not even allowed to ask questions about the treatment plan. Dude, you can't even convince your assistant and hygienist why you're doing this treatment, and you're the same idiot who's never sold a single $30,000 treatment plan? If your staff don't trust you, you're sitting there telling them the treatment plan, the patient's looking at the hygienist standing behind you and she's rolling her eyes. And you don't know why people just walk out and never come back. It's all about trust. And once you can fake trust, you got it made. So dentistry has been flattening out. It's at about 116 billion a year, 116, 115. It's ticking up a little bit. It always ticks up at the end of a cycle. Average treatment plan in America, $384 for a new patient. $384. By the time you did an FMX and an exam, how much would be left? How much is $384 minus a new patient exam and x-rays in your office? None? And the problem is what? The problem is what? Your patients are flossing too much. They're not eating processed sugar. They all have a six-pack. Nobody has a cavity, nobody has a gum disease, or you couldn't sell shit to an Eskimo. You know, that's what it is. You just can't sell. So I'm going to end on this note here. Many, many, many people stand before you and they want to be your friend. They want you to like them. I don't want any more friends. I don't care if you don't like me. My own lover back there in the back row. Where's Jennifer? In the bathroom. Yeah, she's not in the bathroom. She just would rather be in the bathroom looking at the toilet than me. She's probably, but the bottom line is, I'm going to tell you the brutal truth. Too many of you are snowflakes. You peaked out in 2005 at $219,000 a year, and you've been sliding $3,800 a month, and you're down to $174, and it's sliding, sliding, sliding. But I want you to look at the other number, the 9 specialties, okay? So the specialists are averaging 333, 540. You're averaging 188. What's the difference? Here's the money. Molar endo. 325. What do you say to me? Well, I don't like molar endo. Well, you know what? Homo sapien is 2 million years old. And for the last 1.9 million, your ancestors were frozen in a cave all winter eating mastodon shit. One of your ancestors said, you know, I just don't like mastodon shit anymore. I think I'm just going to kill myself with a rock. If your ancestors for 2 million years ate mastodon shit, I don't care if you don't like molar endo. Suck it up, buttercup. I'm tired of your snowflake bullshit. They got a toothache. They hurt. They come to your office. Well, can you do it? No, I don't do molar endo. I hope someday you break your leg and you go to the emergency room and they say, you know, we don't do legs. You know, we just do arms. And sometimes we'll do an ear or an eye, but no legs. I mean, I just don't like legs. I just prefer them all. Suck it up. They're begging you for treatment. It's $1,000. They're in pain. It's called public health. There's 9 specialties. And you know the thing that embarrasses me the most about my homies? That 8% of all emergency room visits are odontogenic in origin because you don't have your shit together. Because they come in with a toothache, and then you gave them Penvicaine Vicodin. They couldn't get into any endodontist for 3 days. Now it's Saturday night at 1 in the morning, and they're in the ER spending $1,500 just to get more Vicodin and more penicillin. Because you didn't do your job. Because you're the asshole that just decided, I don't like molar endo. I don't give a shit if you don't like it. Do it anyway. Oral surgery, extractions, and endo, every dentist that's taking home $250 to $300 can pull a damn tooth and do a molar root canal. If you, and then you tell me, you say, well, I don't like blood. Dude, you were supposed to be an electrical engineer. How did you not know that humans were not filled with blood? Did you really think you carved me open and say Intel inside? What are you looking for, a PC board? No, it's a heart, and it pumps bloody stuff. And you got to learn how to pull a tooth. And then you sit there and tell me, well, you don't like it. And you know what? I don't give a shit if you don't like it. My boys wrestled year-round from 5 to 15. A lot of them went undefeated for 3 years. I'd wake them up at 6 o'clock to go do their cross country, to run, to go to practice. They'd say, Dad, I don't want to get up. And I'd stand there with the light on. I don't give a shit if you want to get up. And I'd grab the blanket and throw it out in the hall. And I'd say, get up, or I'm coming back with water. Because as soon as they were up, as soon as they were running, they're glad they did it. You know, I asked everyone, I said, should I not have done that? And they go, no, Dad, that was awesome. I'm so glad you made us do that. Orthodontics, I don't even understand it. Invisalign just bought Smile Direct. Now they're not even going through the orthodontist. You're going into a mall, they scan it, they send it to an orthodontist in Costa Rica, they make the trays, they send it back, but you can't do Invisalign. Oh, the girl in the mall can, but Dr. You can't figure it out. Are you shitting me? An $11 hour girl who's 18 in the mall can do Invisalign, but not you. I mean, at that point, there's a head injury going on. At that point, you gotta call your mom and say, Mom, seriously, did you drop me? I need to know. Because I can't do Invisalign, but the mani-pedi chick in the mall can. Pediatrics, it's the same thing. I mean, a pediatric, you say, I don't like kids. I mean, I had 4 kids. I have grandchildren. I hate pediatric dentistry, especially in my practice. 25% of my practice is from Guadalupe. They don't speak one word of English. I don't even know what they're saying. They're screaming. The mother say, I did figure out how to say Howard Farran in Spanish. I'm pretty sure it's Gordo Cracker. And, but the bottom line is, okay, you don't like it, but I don't care. This is a 2-year-old little kid. What do you want to have? Ludwig's angina at 3 o'clock in the morning? You just got to do things you don't like, but the specialists are all making bank. And the periodontist, I mean, look at this. I just want you to memorize that. Once you decide you're not going to be a little snowflake, you can make $250,000 a year. But you're going to have to do molar endo. You're going to have to pull teeth. Hogo has put together, look, it's the first time he looked up during the whole damn seminar. I had to call his name. He's got all the courses on endo, Carl Misch, implants, Palomel. I love the internationalist. He's from Lisbon, Portugal, all in 4. Haji's up in Canada doing ceramic implants. There's a lot of people believing now that ceramic implants will have less peri-implantitis. You'll see that the ceramic implant manufacturers are coming on strong. I did the CEO of Straumann. He just bought an all-ceramic implant. A lot of people think it's going to be a lot less peri-implantitis. Orthodontics is accelerating. When we were little, every case was 2 years. Now they can speed these things up to a year. I've done the 25 World's Greatest Orthodontists podcast from Sydney, Australia, Mahoney, Richard Litt, University of Detroit. I mean, we got everything. PDF. Here's the fees. You don't even know what it costs you. Look at this. Here's a typical dental office making money. Now they're doing it at a break even, and then about a third of their insurance, they're losing money, and they don't even know what third they're losing money on. I could go on and on and on. I just want to end on this. This is what I want to end on. Something to do. Here's what to do. If you can do something to get rich quick, this is what you do. For every 100 people that land on your website, only 3 convert and call your office. For every 3 that convert and call your office, your receptionist who answers the phone only gets 1 to come in. 3 people have to come in who each need a filling for you to convert 1 to do the filling, because the average dentist has about a 38% close rate. So to do a filling, you needed 3 people to come in with a filling. To have 3 people come in, you needed 9 to call. For 9 people to call, you needed several hundred. You needed 500 to land on your website. Just fix any of that. What do we know? First of all, call centers are exploding. You need to hire a receptionist. There's my Valerie. Valerie could talk to a tree for an hour. If I was going to hire one of you to be my receptionist, I'd ask you each just one question. I'm looking for that girl where you ask her one question and she just talks. I want a girl that if you taped her mouth shut, she'd fart to death, okay? Just warm and fuzzy and talking. And here's what's weird about sales. The Fortune 500 is about 15% of Americans work for the Fortune 500, and they get 100% of all the news. But you know what? The average 80% of Americans, they work for a business the size of a dental office. And there's all these $1 million companies all spread across America. And you know what's really weird about them? Is that average company, the highest paid person besides the owner, is whoever is calling sells customers. He wears the suit and tie. He's the only one making $100,000. He's called outbound sales. And when someone calls the company to inquire, let's say you're in the middle of Mays, Kansas, and all you make is a side baler to make those little bales of hay, and you do like $3 million a year. The guy calling the farmers is in a 3-piece suit in the office. He's making $100,000 a year. If someone calls, he answers the phone. And the guy in the back working on the machine shop making the side balers, those are $40 an hour guys that come to work in overalls without underwear and a lunch pail. In dentistry, that guy's the doctor. And he gets all the big bucks making the little fillings and crowns. And he's got 8 to 12 years of college. The hygienist's got 4. The assistant's got a year. And then who's inbound sales? Somebody you just found on the street. Who's outbound sales? Oh, some girl with no training. In every company in America, that would be the highest paid position. That's why all these DSOs are kicking your ass with call centers where they're absolutely training. They're getting top dog people. They are getting people, and they will convert 70 to 80% of the people that call get a schedule a patient. You are 1 in 3. And then they will go in there and they will take away the treatment plan presentation from the doctor, and they will give it to a treatment plan coordinator who, again, is someone hired and trained in sales. And they will go in there and they'll do a 2/3 close rate. So they're getting the girls answering their phone to a 70% conversion rate. And they're getting treatment plan presentation to 2/3, and you're competing with that DSO across the street, and your girl's only converting 1 in 3 to schedule, and 3 people have to come in before you convert 1 for a filling. That's why DSOs are even alive. Every single one of them has a call center. Every single one of them tells a doctor, you know what, you're a doctor, you're an introvert geek, you're afraid of your own shadow, you're kind of weird. So we're gonna get a normal person. Your idea of normal is when you go into a library, you're just at home. You're like, oh, I'm at home. I'm in a library. I'm so happy. And you can smell those offices that do $750,000 a year, because when you walk in, it even smells like a library. Nobody talks. Everybody's quiet. Everybody passes little notes. And then you go into an office that does $1.5 million. Hey, how are you doing? What up with you? I love your little bun thing. What's all that about? What do you like the weather? What are you doing? Are you going? You know, they're just all fun and they're having fun. The assistant's taking the FMX, diagnosing each one. The girl doing the it's just fun. You can feel it. You can smell it. You can sense it. They do $1.5 million. Everybody's secreting dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. That's what has to happen. So just fix the funnel. And I want to tell you something about, think about this. The reason Blockbuster died is not only was this have banker's hours, and this was 24 hours a day like the ATM machine, but when you went in there and you bought a movie, and you went up to the counter and you bought it, there was no difference in customer experience than just buying it from a box. You didn't make a connection. You didn't walk away and say, I really love that Blockbuster chick. She rocks. She didn't ask your name. You didn't ask her name. It was, I mean, when your customer experience is not harmed by a box. I mean, it's the same thing with ATM machines. Like, you want to deal with this guy 40 hours out of 168 or a box 168. No one went to that box and said, I really miss that guy. You're losing to a box. And you know why you love your receptionist? Because she reminds you of your favorite librarian. The life of every party of Friday night. And you know what I heard at Creighton University for 3 freaking years, every single night? Ding, the library will be closing in 10 minutes. And I was such a loser, I'd say, shit. And I'd pack up my bag and I would go home wondering why the library wasn't 24 hours a day. And then I finally complained to the head Jesuit at Creighton University. Here's how big of a loser I've been. He was 80 years old, the long gown, always had a rosary in. And I went there and tell him, this is bullshit. I'm paying $6,000 a year. The library closed at noon. I come back to the dorm. They're playing rock and roll music. They're sneaking in alcohol. And there's girls in there. And he walked around the deal and he put his arm around. He says, Howard, maybe at midnight you should just lighten up a little and maybe you should have a beer and sneak a woman in there. And I'm like, man, when an 80-year-old Jesuit priest is telling you to sneak women into a dorm, he really feels sorry for you. And all of those people were the only ones who got accepted into dental school, medical school, and law. Everyone that was normal and well-rounded didn't get accepted. So when you're wondering what's wrong with my doctor, he was like the 5% that got accepted. Normal people don't make great grades and get accepted to dental school and medical school. And what are you losing to? You're losing to a box. You're losing to a red box, an ATM machine. Now they're getting rid of the tellers at the banks. That is outbound sales. That is inbound sales. You need that girl. And you won't hire that girl because she talks. You won't hire her because she questions you. Well, why are you doing a crown instead of a filling? Why are you doing a root canal? Because she wants to explain it to her friend. And you're like, look, librarians don't ask questions. Number one, shh. You're supposed to be quiet. No questions. So find your Valerie. Find your mojo. Life is an attitude. You love endo. You love chrome steel crowns. You love pulling wisdom teeth. And you love this lecture because I told you you did. So love it anyway. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
That was awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Howard. That was fantastic. This lecture will be continued next year in Scottsdale in March 2019. We hope that you're all there. I want to remind you to please review the courses either through the meeting app or on our website. We appreciate your feedback, both on the content and quality of the courses as well as the meeting itself. I know this is our last time together as a large group, so I want to wish everybody a safe and healthy trip home. We do hope to see many of you next year in Scottsdale at the Talking Stick Resort. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.